An area author has blended time travel and a search for identity in his new book, The Untold Adventures of Ichabod Stitch. Joining us on the CI stage for today's Page Turners is Corey Taylor. Good to have you, Corey.
Hi, great. This is so great to be here.
Good. I'm glad you're here to talk about this book because this was one of the more unique books that I ever read, the parts that I've read. So tell me a little bit about the story and give people an overview, if you would.
Absolutely. We start off in the first part. The chapters stagger. It's present time, and our main character is a middle-aged guy who's never really done well, and we're talking about his current relationships, and then the next chapter will go back and talk about his childhood, and we start to see why he's never really done well. And like this glimmer of hope, this shining star in his life is this relationship with his friend Paco, but there's also that's problematic too, because we find out at the very beginning that Paco is HIV positive and doesn't want to treat it. Everything seems like a challenge to him except for this relationship with Paco, but that's also challenging because Paco has a terminal illness.
There's a lot of dialogue in there that follows it along, and it's really well written and digestible. And was that one of the things that you kind of incorporated into the way that you wrote the book intentionally?
Absolutely. It was a definite decision to make it dialogue driven. And that's because our lives are dialogue driven, Even if we post something on Facebook, that's a dialogue. So we are constantly having conversations with people and relationships with people through words. And so I really was hoping for a strong dialogue.
How does time travel help you tell Ichabod's story better?
Because I've always had this fantasy that if I could go back in time and change my childhood, what would I change? That's where it came from.
Interesting. The way that you approach this kind of writing, what are people out there who have the potential to be authors in the future? What are they going to take from reading this book and understanding the way that you put yours together?
Hopefully what they would take away is to not follow a formula. What I really, really hate about most of the adult fiction that I read right now, even with Stephen King, James Patterson, every book you read sounds like the same thing. I read a book by Stephen King's son, Joe Hill. Very good book, but it sounded like Stephen King wrote it. I wondered, actually. But yeah, every book sounds the same unless you start reading like teen fiction. The Fault in Our Stars, The Hunger Games, that's where people are taking risks, not in Stephen King's latest novel or whatever that happens to be. Now, I'm a fan of his, don't get me wrong, but people like Scott Heim, Chuck Palahniuk, Clive Barker, those are the ones who really interest me because they don't seem to follow a formula.
One of the things that you're trying to do to promote this book is a little bit different than what a lot of authors are doing, is you're hoping that book groups are going to pick this up.
It's better when I've gotten groups of people together and start discussing the book. So if ever a book club wanted to pick this book as their choice, when they got together to discuss it, I would want to Skype in or FaceTime and join the discussion with them, and I would be available to do that.
That's awesome.
That's what I'm hoping.
And you're originally from Effingham.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So you'll be available especially for folks here in Central Illinois.
Absolutely, yeah.
The book is The Untold Adventures of Ichabod Stitch, and it's by Corey Taylor from Effingham originally. And if you want to check that out, you can do so. It's available for purchase, and we'll connect you to both Corey and the place where you can buy this book online at ciliving.tv.